Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Dual Coast Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Skoko, over on the East Coast, joined by my West Coast co-host, Russ Rogers, and we are joined by very special guest this afternoon, Mikey Taylor. Mikey, thank you so much for being on with us.
My pleasure, and let's put it down for the West Coast right now. We'll go 2v1. 2v1 today.
That's it.
Gotta love it, man. We don't have a lot of Cali people.
That's true.
On the show. A large majority is East Coast or Midwest.
Very true.
Okay.
I think mainly because of the time. Normally we go at 5:30 a.m., which Tawny declined for you. Your admin, and she stepped to the plate, and then it was 8:30, and then it was noon. So did you wake up recently? Are you, I'm just kidding. I know you.
I love it. Listen, I'm a 6 a.m. guy.
Right.
Sub 6 is tough for me. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I'm scraping to get hours right now with the young kids.
Yeah. And you have how many?
I have 4 with our 5th coming next month.
Wow. Congratulations.
Wow. So it's busy. Listen, you guys know, I love 8 hours. 8 hours feels good. Then it gets, down to 6, and then you're climbing by at 5. And so, 6 a.m. gets me there.
Yeah. Yeah. My nephew who lives in Nebraska, he was in the military and recently retired. He flew for the military, and they are pregnant with their 6th.
Dang, what a savage.
Yeah, and I said, I asked him, Nathan, are you Mormon or what, man? I mean, I mean, even the quarterback, right, who just came back and played for the Colts. I think he's got 6 or 8, something like that. It's unbelievable. Congratulations.
We got to get these numbers back up, boys. We're just doing our part as Americans here, trying to get our population numbers up.
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Dan is, on the verge of, proposing to his gal.
Let's go.
Any advice?
Yeah.
Mikey, for Dan?
Any advice?
Listen, Dan, I'm going to give this to you and anyone listening who is not married yet. I'm going on my 16th year, so I will recognize that I do have time in front of me. The stuff that I learned that is incredibly crucial. Number 1, you have to continue dating your wife. And so a date night once a week needs to become a non-negotiable. That might sound expensive for some. You don't have to go out. You just try having kids. Something my wife and I will do. Last night we went to Trader Joe's. That was our date night, going shopping together. You just have to have something in place where you and her are just connecting, where it's not entirely around the kids. Just that one move alone is going to be huge. So I would say don't forget that one.
That's great advice.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a buddy, he was up in the Northwest, and this was years and years ago. We were raising kids at the same time. And I recognize that about him. Because once the kids got, of age and they started going out on their own, it's like, how well do you know your wife at that time?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I heed that. That's great, man. Thanks for sharing that. Mikey,
that's right.
Dan, listen.
Listen.
Dan, you got this, buddy. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I will continue.
I'm in the grandkid stage.
That's so good. That's so good.
So I've got grandkids on dual coast, East and West. So it's awesome.
I love that. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So Mikey, man, thanks for coming on to Dual Coast today. It's a privilege. We're honored. Dan and I are honored to have you. I know that you're a busy guy with all of your endeavors. Most recently in December, coming on as the mayor of Thousand Oaks. You've got a real estate business that you do. You're investing. Commune Capital. It's amazing. You're a former skateboarder. 2 decades of that. And it's amazing. So what I want to do to kind of, even though we've already started, but what I want to do is I'm going to say some names, and I want you to share with our listeners the first word that comes to mind. Okay? Got about 6 of these. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Eric Costin.
Goat.
Danny Way.
Savage.
Bob Burnquist.
Brazilian.
Elissa Steamer.
Trailblazer.
Rob Deerdeck.
Visionary.
And last but not least, Tony Hawk.
Legend.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That is great.
That was-
Brazil is my favorite answer.
You know, when I was young, I always remember Bob skating around skate parks with the flag hanging off like a cape. Maybe that was on an Africa S tour. Man, some things just imprinted in your brain, huh?
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Real quick, I got to bring this up real fast, Mikey. So I was watching YouTube videos of you, and you did a video about a year ago or so where you were out in Santa Monica, kind of like going up to old skaters and stuff like that and seeing who used to skate and everything and having to do tricks. And one guy thought you were Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
And you played it off so well, man.
Isn't that good? I was like, Tony and I have 15 years between us. Like, dang, really? But I'll take that as a compliment, though.
But you played off the Twitter thing and everything, and you're like, yeah, man, you should check out my Twitter and everything.
Yeah. I did. I ran with it, didn't I?
Ran with it, man. And I was cracking up at that. I was watching all these videos of you skating, and I thought that was hysterical, man.
How good is that? Tony Hawk gets people to ask him if he's Tony Hawk all the time, and now I'm here getting the same scenario. I'm not even him. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
That was great. That's so funny.
So funny. Yeah. So, hey, can you just tell us a quick little something on that? Like, what were you doing? Where were you at? This guy approached you. Can you give us just a quick synopsis so it dives deeper into, how helping people to understand that situation as funny as it was?
Yep. I'll give you guys a quick overview of a little bit of skate culture. So the Barracks was one of the main platforms on the media side, really early, kind of forefront moving into social media. And they had a filmer with the Barracks. His name was Chase Gabor. He was in big part was a major factor to their success. Chase then created a company, and he had a board that said, I used to skate. And he started creating segments of skaters going out and trying to find people who used to skate and then have them do a kickflip. Yeah. And then they'd win something if they did the kickflip. And so Chase asked me if I wanted to do one of the segments with him. And my first response to Chase was, I haven't been a pro skateboarder for over a decade. These kids don't know me. And he's like, let's just do it. And so I went out with him. It felt in some regards foreign because I hadn't probably done a trick in quite some time. I did get a handful of people that noticed me, which felt good. Nice. And the best moment is when somebody thought I was Tony Hawk. So that clip went viral, actually.
I noticed it went viral.
Yeah, that was fun. So it was cool to, there's two things that's very special in my life right now that I just absolutely love. Number one is the people that I still have relationships with in the skate community and just reconnecting with them and, bringing back old memories and old times. I love that part. And secondarily, because my company is built for investors to invest with us in our real estate, and then simultaneously we're out there trying to build relationships to find new deals and all of the components that go into real estate, you end up meeting a lot of people that used to skate. And so that part's really cool, connecting with somebody who's in venture capital that was a skater, or somebody who's in medical sales that was a skater. That's one of my favorite parts, is reminiscing with them on, our life as kids growing up in the 90s skateboarding.
Sure. That's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Well, yeah, when you and I had a little dialogue back in October about coming on, I told my son, who is 29, and I said, because he was a skateboarder, and I said, hey, you're not going to believe who's going to come on in January. And he's like, who? And I said, Mikey Taylor. He goes, yeah, former skateboarder. And I go, absolutely. He goes, oh yeah, I know exactly who that guy is, And, for me, going back to those days, do you remember the deck that would look like a banana? It was a bright yellow skateboard it was banana something. I don't know. But that's what I grew up on was the banana skateboard, just this yellow flat skateboard that you could hardly turn on. And that probably ruined me and ruined my future career as a skateboarder.
I feel that. Yeah, I feel that. Were you on clay wheels also?
Yeah.
Oh, we're dating. Yeah. Yep. I got a quick one for you real quick. I have a guy on our sales team, younger guy, 24. He approached me on Instagram about a position, and we hired him. He moved out here. And about 2 months ago, he was in his apartment complex and some kids were out front skating. So he walks up to him. He says, "Hey, can I try your skateboard?" He does a kickflip. They're like, "Oh, that's so cool. You can skate." And he goes, "Do you know who my boss is?" And they go, "Who?" And he says, "Mikey Taylor." And their response is, "Oh, that's so cool. We love vintage skaters." I was like, dang. Okay, that's like the new Gen Z way of saying you're an OG. Yeah.
OG, yeah.
You're no longer a former, but you're vintage.
I'm vintage. Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. Well, I remember going to a park in Modesto. That's where I grew up in the Central Valley. And we had this one park that had a hill on it, and it just had this zigzag, and I tell you, on that banana board, man, I ate it so many times. And I tell you, I probably just got tired of eating it, and it's like choose another sport,
Yeah, listen, the concrete hurts, man.
Yeah. Unforgiving.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, quick question. Have you ever been to the Fantasy Factory?
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah. I was early on the Fantasy Factory. Yeah. So the Fantasy Factory was a spin-off of the Barracks. So the company that I told you, the Barracks, they were one of the first to create a indoor skate paradise and film there. And so Rob took that to the, next stratosphere and launched Fantasy Factory. Yeah, that place was fun.
It was an unbelievable show.
Yeah.
There were fun, so many funny episodes on that.
Yeah, there really was.
We were down in LA, going on vacation and whatnot. My son was there and he was really into the Fantasy Factory. And so we actually drove by it and down in downtown LA or just the outskirts. And that was pretty cool. I remember one of the episodes, Rob was one of those three-wheel trikes. I don't know what you call them, but, and they were speeding down the street at like 100 miles an hour.
I rode on that thing too. Yeah. That thing was psycho. I've had some great life stories with Rob. I have core memories with Rob. Yeah. Some really good ones.
That's awesome. Good buddies.
Oh, it's great. Mikey, quick question for you. So was there a specific moment when you realized skating wouldn't be the only vehicle for your purpose? And how did that realization kind of change how you approach life? Was there like a specific moment in time that you could recall?
I knew that skateboarding as a career had a short lifespan. The purpose side of it came later. And, my story was I had a career that was a passion. I started skateboarding not because I wanted to become a professional skateboarder. I absolutely fell in love with the craft and didn't want it to end. Yeah. And so becoming a pro was the means to that basically end game. And so when I was skating, I was so scared about what life looked like after skateboarding because I loved my life. It was so fun. And so I did a lot of prepping to plan for what happened next, financially speaking. The purpose side came actually when my career ended, and I did not prepare for that. The purpose side was, I almost felt blindsided by that because when you're in your 20s, you don't totally understand the significance of your purpose. And so when my career ended, I got hit with the reality that I had my entire purpose and my entire identity put into my craft. And that was difficult for me. I wasn't sure what to do afterward. Yeah. And more importantly, I knew I had a skill set. I didn't even know what game to apply that skill set to. And so that probably took me about 12 months of trying to find myself. And yeah, I wish I knew that early on, that transition probably would have been easier, but I had to go through it in real time. That was hard. And I would say most people go through that when their career ends in their 60s, right? That becomes a big thing for retirement. You retire, and a lot of us put our identity into our careers, and then we're left kind of feeling lost. And I had to approach that in my early 30s as opposed to 60. And what I found was a lot of the people that I was finding, let me think of the best way to say it. The people that I was relating to were in their 60s going through the same thing of retirement. So I'm thankful now that I got an early start to it. And that's something I talk to a lot of kids about now, especially in the pro sports sphere, that when they step out of retirement one and into their second career, the purpose identity portion of that has to be solved. And it is a little overwhelming if you're not prepared for it.
Sure.
Wow. How was it, being in a skateboarding time when skateboarding wasn't popular? Because you really were kind of a part of that era that really made skateboarding become popular.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you got DC shoes, you got GoPro, that was all a part in your career. And then ultimately, skateboarding in the Olympics. Like, how was that being a part of that era that's really launched skateboarding globally, not just in the United States, but globally?
Yeah. There's, like anything, pros and cons, right? The part that was cool is watching skateboarding grow and watching more and more people skate. That part was awesome. Secondarily, pro skateboarders' ability to make money increased. That was awesome to see. And then the new businesses that were created because of that growth was awesome as well. The con to it is when something's not cool, it's pure. There was something very special in the 90s because we were outcasts and because everyone thought we were lame. Your circle became even tighter and you didn't have any bad actors. You were all there for the same reason. It was not to become cool and famous and make money.
Yeah.
And we lost that a little bit. So that's just part of the process. More corporation comes in, more of the pillars that made it special go away. But it was exciting to be part of that wave that brought it to the mainstream. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super popular now.
It's much different than when I was a kid and everyone made fun of us. That doesn't. Yeah, it's not the same anymore.
You're pioneers.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right, vintage Mikey.
Yeah. The 90s, man. The 90s were special.
They were
really special.
Sure.
Oh, that's
Mikey,
awesome.
So discipline has to be a big part of your daily routine now, as is involved in business, investing, even when you're an athlete, skating and everything like that. How do you define discipline in your everyday life? What does it mean to you?
That's a very good question. Discipline, I think, comes down to your willingness to succeed. And without it, you have no guardrails, right? So a lot of times we look at laws or guardrails as being limiting, but really what they allow you to do is stay focused and move forward. Because without them, you're bouncing from wall to wall. And so what I found is when you know where you want to go, the discipline is what actually gets you there. So it's everything. And I think when your end goal is large enough and you're all the way bought in on it, you end up seeing more and more discipline because your focus is on the outcome, and the outcome is everything. So for my life today, I know this. Discipline is an absolute must. And there's times where I'm better at it. There's times when I'm worse at it. And I would say the times where I'm worse at it is when I'm not singularly focused on the outcome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, being disciplined in life, having people around you is utterly important, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
My college baseball coach, I went to Cal Poly Pomona, and he said the 5 most important words in life is surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
John Scalinas. And, we talked about, your admin, you've got mirror help in the office. And I'd love for you're a family guy, and I would love for you to speak out. And this is a moment for your wife to shine because she is the backbone behind your family,
Yeah.
and really supporting you. So tell us a little bit about your family and the importance of your wife in your life.
Okay. So my wife and we've been married 15 years. We have 4 kids. We have number 5 on the way. And when done right, your wife should be your greatest asset. And I think we skip out on that a lot of times when we're dating, and then the idea of getting married, we actually don't do, I think, the justified due diligence that we should do to make sure that our wife or husband is that asset to us. And so one thing that I did well, I recognized, one, her talent. I recognized how amazing she was, and I got her on board that we were going to be a team, right? So I got that part done. What I had the challenge of that we had to figure out was I started neglecting that asset. And so I was putting all of my attention towards my companies, and I was justifying that as being the provider. My job is to provide, so I put all my attention towards the business, and then my wife and my kids came second, but it was a very distant second. And so what we had to do probably about 8 years ago, that was the inflection point for us, was I had to reprioritize, and I had to create boundaries to protect her and my relationship that I wasn't doing leading up to it. So this one might be for Dan, because he's starting to venture into this world. If you would have asked my wife 10 years ago about my business, about our investments, kind of that nature, she probably wouldn't have been able to tell you much. She probably would have said, I don't know. That's Mikey's got that. And what we moved into was making sure she was a part of the conversation and actually had input in our decision making. So when I make investments today, it's, babe, this is the investment in front of us. This is the potential upside. This is the risk. What do you see? How do you feel? And we make a joint decision together. With the business, I bring her into the business now. Babe, this is what's going on. And I make sure that she's a part of that conversation. And then secondarily, I had to start creating disciplines or boundaries on my time with the family. So one model of success that I would have told you worked well for me is that I outworked everyone, especially coming from skateboarding. My whole model to success back then was, if everyone else is willing to skate 4 hours a day, I'm going to skate 8. If everyone else is putting out one part every 5 years, I'm going to put out 4. That's how I tried to win. But it was disruptive on the family side. And so I was a little bit scared, actually, when we launched our business about 10 years ago, because I wasn't willing to potentially lose my relationship with that model, which was going to be the inevitable outcome. And so we started creating boundaries like this. I wasn't going to work on Saturdays and Sundays anymore. That was going to be family time. Nights were going to be with the family. And I was worried that my competitors were going to beat me and I wasn't going to have an edge. But this is what I found. When you limit your time, you're forced to get good at delegating. And delegating is the only way for you to build anything at scale. If you want to get past being a solopreneur or doing business by yourself, you have to delegate. And so what I ended up experiencing was a business that grew faster, built this way. And I also got to enjoy a healthy relationship as well. And so those are some of the boundaries that we create. One of the new ones is, even on the weekends when I'm with the family, the phone is now off all Sunday. So my phone is off in a box, and I'm not taking calls. I'm not looking at it. It's nothing. It's entirely family time. And that's been really beneficial for us. So I would recommend that. Make sure you have time to unplug and spend actual time with your loved ones.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome, man. That's very well said.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, because family is so important in our lives. And, some people don't, get married. Some people live by themselves, whatever. Right.
Right.
But, it's so important. And I really appreciate, you sharing those words about your family, because there is a great documentary out right now. It came out a few weeks ago on John Elway on Netflix. And it actually goes through and talks about his career, but it talks about his family life, where he was really dedicated to the sport.
Mm.
And the family was definitely secondary in that.
Mm.
And even when they went out to restaurants, people would approach him, and he felt like it was really important for him to give them their time.
Right.
But I value greatly what you just said about turning the phone off on Sunday,
Yeah.
spending quality time with your wife, your family, and it's healthy.
Yeah.
It's healthy for you. It's healthy for your family. It's healthy for your kids.
Yeah. And you know what else I realized through this, and I think it'll be beneficial for anyone who's, if my world, a lot of it is dealing with investors. If you're in sales, if you're in some type of like growth style job, it's almost counter intuitive to think that if you're not answering somebody's call, you're losing opportunity. But what I found is people respect you more when you have boundaries. And so that was a concern for me. I have almost 700 investors, and I definitely was concerned that if somebody called and I wasn't available, did that mean they weren't going to want to invest with us or wouldn't want to work with us? And it's interesting what happens when somebody tries to reach you Friday at 7:00 and you do not respond to them till Monday morning. They actually end up respecting you more. It's an interesting thing that happens. So if you're somebody who feels like you're going to lose opportunity because of boundaries, the opposite happens.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's great.
Business phenomenon.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay, wish I learned that in my 20s.
Mikey, from an early age, you performed on a lot of big stages. And even today with your business and Commune Capital and building it, you've experienced a lot of pressure. How do you personally manage that pressure when the stakes are really high in those situations?
I would say there's two parts to it. From the actual, to get into like tactics of managing pressure, I think it comes down to responsibility and responsibility and reps. It took me time to get to where I am today. I didn't just like wake up and go, okay, I've got $350 million of investment with me. Yeah. It was a very slow build to get here, which meant I got good at managing a little bit of responsibility and then a little bit more and then a little bit more. And so I think it's the idea of if you're responsible with little, you're put in a position to be responsible with a lot. But jumping all the way into it, I think that's where you run the risk of taking on more than you can handle. And then secondarily, I think the bigger factor for myself is really a faith in God. It's the idea that none of this is mine anyway. It's his plan, and I'm called to be responsible and steward it well. And so I think there is a lot of peace actually when you can get into the position of letting go of the fake control that we feel like we all desire and giving that to what I believe is our creator. That has been very freeing and has actually taken a lot of pressure off of my shoulders, just understanding that relationship.
Wow. Yeah. I was going to ask you maybe a little bit later on this, but I wasn't following you at the time on Instagram, but right after the Charlie Kirk incident, you had come on to the air and made some comments that I was thoroughly impressed with. And I started following you. And one of the statements is because of the statement that you made about God, all of a sudden you wake up and you got like 80,000 less followers.
Yeah.
But you remember making that statement?
Hell yeah.
And but then, you wake up the next day and you've got thousands of new followers because of the statement that you made.
Yeah.
And it impressed me with the stance that you took. And I simply just DM'd you. And there is a philosophy that I live by that says the answer is always no if you don't ask.
Right.
If I had never asked, the answer was no.
Right.
And the fact that you responded within about an hour of me, saying what I said, really impressed me to who you are and your character without even really knowing, the backlog of Mikey Taylor.
Mm.
And so I would love to, I would love for you to just take a moment to express, because you mentioned God. Tell me, what does God mean to you and in your family?
Okay, so before I answer that, it's so funny that you said it. What that phrase we say in the skate world, closed mouths don't get fed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You always got to take the shot. You always got to ask. So I absolutely love that. For me, you know, this goes back to identity and purpose. And I think at the end of the day, those are the most crucial questions that we all as people have to answer. And a lot of times we don't want to answer them because it's scary. It's scary to answer the question, why am I here? And simultaneously, it's scary to answer the question, what happens after this? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we avoid it. And for me, when I was going through the purpose and identity crisis, I felt like I had built my entire foundation up until that point as being a pro skateboarder. My identity was pro skateboarder. My purpose was pro skateboarder. And when that all ended, I realized that the foundation I had created was weak and it broke down. And the only thing I could have told you 10 years ago was, I don't want to experience that again. I don't want to experience the rug getting pulled out from underneath me and feel like I don't know who I am anymore. And so I spent a lot of time trying to find what the actual solid foundation would be. And so when I started trying to answer the question, why am I here? You know, I really couldn't find a better answer other than I was created. And that's a big debate amongst a lot of us. But when I look out at the world, I see a designer. I don't see that this was an accident. There's too much beauty and there's too much order for me to put my faith in this being an accident. And so when I landed on creator, then my research became, who is that creator? And so something I decided to do was read the Bible from start to finish. And that is when I had a 0% doubt that my creator was God. And that's when I started directing my purpose in alignment with his. And that is the center focus point for our family. That, you know, I want my kids more than anything to see how my wife and I's relationship looks, and as an example to really Christ's relationship with the church and our relationship with the Father. And so I would say that is the utmost importance for us. And if my kids take anything away from us, that's what I'd hope it would be.
Wow. Beautifully said, man. Yes. Beautifully said. Love that, man.
Yep. Mikey, I kind of know what you're going to say here as far as an answer, but I want to ask this question anyway. And, you know, success doesn't always equal fulfillment. And I kind of want to ask you when you first realized that and what changed afterward to you when you kind of realized that success wasn't, you know, didn't always equal fulfillment for you.
So it's interesting because a lot of us tie success to dollars. Right? It's usually a financial hurdle. And it's even weird saying this because I know what I do as a living. This might not make sense, but I was actually never driven by money. Even when I was young, some of my favorite times are when I wasn't making money and I was out skating with my friends every day. Yep. And so what I found is I like the feeling of accomplishing things that typically have a goal in mind. So what I enjoy is setting a goal, and it's actually not achieving the goal. I like the process of trying to get there. So I feel accomplished in that, but accomplished and fulfilled are not the same thing. And I think that's really the question you asked. And so I would say I've been learning that slowly over the last 20 years. And the last example of that is probably what Russell brought up. And for me, when everything happened with Charlie, that one hit me in a lot of different areas in my life. And the biggest part of that is I felt like I was trying to get the world's approval, and I was diluting the approval of my creator. Maybe a better way to say it is I was fearing man more than I was fearing the Lord. And when I ultimately asked for his forgiveness of that and attempted to reprioritize my daily goals to please him and not others, the fulfillment that came with that was much different than the accomplishments I felt leading up to it. And here's one of the examples. About a month and a half ago, I left the office and it just felt like a shitty day. I felt like I didn't get stuff accomplished. I felt like I wasn't locked in. And I walked out of my office into my car just feeling down. And before I drove away, I picked up my phone and I just peeked at Instagram and I had some DMs. And the first DM I looked at was somebody who said, Mikey, I just got to tell you, I was a Christian. I grew up a Christian, and my outlook was always to be an example to my friends of what a blessed life looks like when it's in alignment with the Lord. And over time, I started giving in on certain things to be more like them. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't look any different from them. And just seeing you post over the last 2 months about this, it is kind of re-engaged a fire inside of myself to really start living a different way from the world. And I just want to thank you for that. That changed my entire perspective of that day. I walked out of my office being upset that I didn't finish an investment summary or whatever I was working on. And I went, if the Lord is happy about anything I accomplished today, what do you think he's happy about? It's that message. It's not that an investor report didn't go out, even though that's important. The fulfillment came with that message. And so that's what I'm attempting to do every day now. And how I'm trying to stay aligned in that, I'm trying to start every morning off praying, like, Lord, remind me what my goal is. Remind me what my mission is. And if I start my day off with that in mind, I think I line myself up to be more fulfilled that day.
Wow.
I love that.
I love that too, man. Very well said.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. A lot of, we're a health and wellness, based podcast, and you talk about unplugging and, unity in the family, spending quality time. Skateboarding is a way for kids to get outside and to do fun things. Riding bikes is something for kids to get out, so if you see a pile of bikes outside, kids are outside playing, having a good old time. And that seems to be something that was in the past. First of all, let me ask, do any of your kids skateboard?
No, I tried so hard. No, they want nothing to do with it. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say all of them.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought. You threw me off on that answer.
I failed on that one. Yeah, no, none of them want to.
Oh, man. That's funny.
Even their dad's a vintage skateboarder?
I know. They want nothing to do with vintage. Yeah. No, my girls are creatives. They play volleyball, really into art and design. My son loves bikes, and he has like an electric motorcycle he's obsessed with. He's really drawn towards bikes, but he's 5. So I didn't pick up a skateboard till I was 12. There's some time and some hope there.
Yeah.
But no skateboarding.
Do they know a lot of your history?
They do. For my older 2 girls, when they were younger, they kept asking me when I get noticed in public, what, who was that? Was that your friend? And I tell them, no, it's not my friend. I don't know them. What do you mean? You're famous? And so when they were young, it was so funny. They didn't understand the levels of fame. So they would look at me and go, like Taylor Swift famous? No, girls, not like Taylor Swift famous. And now my girls are old enough to know that there's people that know who I am. I get stopped in public quite often. So for them, it's a little bit normal. My son doesn't totally understand it yet, though. I think he's probably a couple years away from it.
Yeah. That's what I loved about Phillip Rivers coming back at age 44 to quarterback the Colts. Like he said in one of the press conferences, like, do your kids know about your past? And he goes, yeah, we've talked about it in the house and everything, but now they're seeing their dad on television going out and quarterbacking an NFL pro team, right? It's like, it's crazy at 44, right?
Yeah.
But he said, now I'm done now. Like, I'm not ever coming back. That was just a magical thing that happened, and great for him that he could still do it.
Yeah. It's so cool. No coming back. Anybody out there that's a skater, no coming back for me. I'm too far removed.
He's done.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, the importance for me, like, with what I do with Move Today 365, is really encourage people to get outside, to connect in nature, connect outside. In our day in society, video games, television, COVID, the combination of all this that's happened over the last 5 years that have driven people indoors. What can you say to the people that are out there that are listening today or in the future who hear this podcast of the importance of connecting with your kids outside, getting in nature, spending less time on technology? How would you approach that in telling listeners today?
You know what? I actually think it's starting to happen naturally. If you're paying attention to Gen Z right now, a lot of them are starting to check out online. They're really starting to value the unplug and going out and living life, in real life. And so I think we're actually going to watch the next few years, the overcorrection of everything going digital. And then I'd probably expect that 10 years from now, we find the correct balance. But I'll tell you, just last week, somebody was walking in our neighborhood. They were a little bit older, grandparents, and they saw my kids playing outside. And they said, "Thank you. It's so nice to see kids outside." So I think you're starting to see the beginning stages of that. And so my hope is that it's naturally going to work itself out. But yeah, look, we dove into social hard. We went all in because it was new. And I think right now we're starting to experience the burnout of it. And then hopefully we all find the correct way to use social and real life so that it's not just a, Ready Player One reality that we're living in.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I noticed more kids outside with the bicycles and everything like that than I did in the past 5-6 years or so.
Yeah. And you know what? I think like golf is actually a perfect example of it. Golf is booming right now. And it's the youth jumping into it. The idea that you can go out in 4 hours on a golf course in the sun, hanging out with people, I think that's a really good sign of where we're headed.
Yep. Totally.
That's awesome.
Totally.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have a side sport that you like to play? I think you play golf, right?
Yeah, it's golf. Yeah. Yeah. Golf became the obsession after skateboarding.
Yeah. Favorite course that you've played?
My favorite course I've ever played. Oh, Pebble's got to be up there. Pebble Beach, Spyglass. Those are phenomenal. I just did a Banded Dunes trip in Oregon. That was awesome. Eugene Country Club was great. I've got to play some really fun courses now.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's beautiful. I'm about an hour away from, not even 40 minutes away from Pebble.
That's a special place.
It is. I've never played it, but I've been to the course, watched the Pro-Am. It is special.
Yeah. Just walking that course, you feel it. Even if you're not a golfer, just walk it.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. That's awesome. Mikey, I love to ask this question. And, being a family man, being an entrepreneur, being a former athlete, looking back on your journey and in 20 years from now, what legacy do you want to leave? What legacy do you want to leave on the people, who see you today, see you on this podcast? And what do you hope they see 20 years from now from Mikey Taylor?
I think the same desire I had when I left skateboarding is still what I would hope would be in play 20 years from now. And that is the idea that if a kid who graduated high school, became a pro skateboarder, and then was able to start a brewery and sell it to Miller Coors, and then start a investment firm that's got almost $500 million of assets under management, and then became the mayor of a city, can do it, then so can I. And so I think that's my goal, that just to be the encouragement that if others see a normal guy that figured out a way to do it, then I can as well.
Mhm.
Almost like the Tupac statement, right? Tupac famously said, I don't think I'm going to change the world, but hopefully I'm the one who sparks the idea in the next generation to do it. I would be very happy if that was what I accomplished while I was here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you? Sorry about that.
You good?
Go ahead. You cut out. For
Yeah.
me.
No, I love that. And have you ever thought about telling your story through a book?
Yeah, I have. I think I will at some point. I've been thinking about that for quite some time. I just have to make it a high enough priority to carve the time out to do it. And
Yeah.
I'm in a moment right now where I have no other time to give. So I either need to sell something or position something I'm doing to run without me to free up some time to do it. But that's something I'd like to do in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you describe all that you've done, right, and you look at your story of Mikey Taylor, like, it's pretty phenomenal when you think about it. And the stories that you can tell, the people that you've met, the people that you've inspired, the businesses that you've started, you've launched, and, signing contracts, you name it. You've done all of this stuff, and then managing almost $500 million. It's a pretty incredible story. And then becoming mayor. Like, how in the world do you find time to become mayor of Thousand Oaks? How is that possible?
Yeah.
You're still wondering?
Yeah. What do they say? If you want something done, give it to a busy person. Like, here's something that's interesting. When I decided to run, I probably felt exactly how I feel right now when you asked me the question about doing a book. I don't have time for this. How am I going to do this? And I end up getting elected. And for the first 3 or 4 months, my life was nuts. It felt like I was just trying to survive, trying to keep my mouth barely above water. And then before you know it, you create systems and you bring people in to help. And then my life was on autopilot. And then I'm now experiencing the next iteration, which is, okay, I now became mayor and now there's more responsibility and more time. And I have a feeling I'm in that 3-month window of trying to figure it out. And then hopefully by April, it's normal and I'm on autopilot again. So maybe a book is in my cards sooner than I think.
Yeah.
But I guess it's the idea of don't test something by putting your feet in the water, just jump in the deep end. And if you know how to swim, you're forced to swim. And so maybe that's what I do. I force myself to swim.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, your story is pretty remarkable,
Incredible.
And, when you think about it, and I know you're living it, it's you, right? You're living it. But, us from the outside looking in and looking at your life, it's like when you begin to break it down, like there is a lot of value that you can bring into people's life through that tool.
Right.
So I want to be the one to encourage you at some point, carve out that time.
I will remember this and I'll make sure that you're in the beginning of how we got here before I write the book. Right. Dan and Russell in 2026 really encouraged me to do this. So here we go, boys.
That's it, man.
Yeah. It's funny, man. Cause even though it's my life, in a lot of ways, I feel like a spectator as well. Like I know me, like I know what I'm capable of. And I look at myself going, how the heck did this happen? And I think that's even more of a statement of my faith in God. Like I couldn't do all this alone. This makes no sense,
Yeah. It's incredible. No, it's incredible.
That's awesome.
Mikey, we usually close out this show with a statement / question / quote, however you want to call it. And that quote is, wellness is not about perfection. It's about progress. What does that statement mean to you?
Well, I think that statement's our life in general, right? It's the pursuit of perfection, but it's recognizing that perfection is never actually accomplished. It's the process side. So with health, it's going to be progress on the pursuit to perfection that will never be accomplished. With finance or investing, it's the same exact thing. Even when you go through like the faith side, our whole life here is a journey of sanctification, right? It's progress to be the best version of ourselves, recognizing that we'll never achieve that ideal. And so I think that could be applied to everything, your marriage, your fitness, your faith, your finance, all of it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know, I had one more question for you.
Oh.
Yep.
You know, from a mental perspective, right? You know, preparing to skateboard, preparing to run a meeting, you know, for the city, preparing to, you know, prepare your family for what is to come. You know, there's a lot of mental challenges along the way. And we're living in a day and time where mental illnesses are at an all-time high. People are struggling with depression. People are just struggling with anxiety. You know, can you, from that perspective, you know, how can people better themselves when it comes to these mental hurdles in their life to help them to overcome? Because you navigated a lot in your life.
Yeah. I think there's two ways you can take it. Number one, I think it comes down to purpose. When your purpose is beyond yourself, everything changes. It's not so much about you any longer. And number two, somebody said something a long time ago, and there's so much wisdom in this. If you're struggling with your life, go spend some time with somebody who's struggling worse than you are. Go help somebody out. And it really helps, I think, change your perception of what we have. And there's blessings in all of our lives. There's things that we can be thankful for. Sometimes we just don't acknowledge them. Like somebody said this a long time ago, or excuse me, somebody said this on an Instagram video, and I thought it was brilliant. For you guys, if I were to give you guys the choice, $10 million right now, but you only have one day to live, or you get to wake up tomorrow and live the rest of your life, which one are you choosing? You're choosing, I'd like to live the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
That is a blessing we get every single morning. And if we aren't willing to exchange the next day for 10 million, a billion, whatever, make the number whatever you want, that's one key factor that we can be thankful for every single morning. I got to wake up today and live this life, right?
Yeah.
And then simultaneously, if you can add on helping others that are going through bigger challenges than yourself, that's a part that will change your life as well. And then if you're really trying to solve the problem, I think it comes down to purpose.
Yeah.
Love that.
Amazing.
Yeah. I love that. Mikey, it's been incredible.
It has.
Absolutely incredible. You know, you grew up in Newberry Park. I was down in LA one time. I drove down there, visit my son, and I was a personal trainer for baseball and softball athletes. And I had a gal who lived in Santa Cruz, but was home for the Christmas break. And she was there for like a month, and she was from Newberry Park. So on my way home, I stopped at a local park. I met her and her mom, and I gave her an hour pitching lesson, and then I drove home to Santa Cruz. So that is my one and only story about Newberry Park.
Did you buy anything while you were here? A drink, a meal?
Contribute to the economy at all, Russ.
Thank you for being a part of our economy. Yeah. If not, our park and recs thanks you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Awesome.
exactly.
Russell, Dan, this was a pleasure, man. Thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you, Mikey.
So much for coming on, Mike. You really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being
Thanks
with
for
us.
carving out some time for us, man.
Yes.
Really appreciate it.
Heck
All
yeah.
your thoughts, your heart, everything was just beautifully said, man.
It was
Thank
amazing.
you, guys.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, buddy. You take care, man.
Perfect. All right. That